What's up, Sports-A-Delic, and absolutely what's up to Clemson Nation? I have, in my opinion, the dude that started all of this mobile quarterback, running, passing. Yeah, I got the guy, Woodrow Dantzler, because he was making them bands dance long before Boyd, long before Watson. Come on over here in the studio because we get ready to chop it up with the man. Woodrow Dantzler III. How you doing, sir?
I am absolutely awesome. How are you?
I don't have any complaints. I really don't. I really don't. But I will tell you this. I had to go back. And when I went back, I said, I'm going to do my extra research because obviously we were in schools at different time. But, I support, the teams naturally.
hmm
And my jaw was on the ground. Were you aware that when you left Clemson that you held 50 plus records?
Um, Only by being told that. Other than that, I wouldn't have known.
But that's insane.
Yeah.
It's almost like the program started a couple of years and then you came. I mean, 50 plus records. I was like, that's insane. But my most favorite game watching you play was really, I think, y'all were on the road at Virginia, the 200 yards rushing.
hmm
Yeah, because it's like you just said, I'm gonna run the ball down your throat. And that's essentially what happened. But I was looking at this. Um, I mean, this is insane. Single game total offense, 435. Yards rushing by a quarterback in a game, the 220 plus, Virginia. Yards rushing by a quarterback in a season, 1,028. 100-yard rushing games in season 4. I mean, it just goes on and on. Most 300-yard games, 400, And I said, I mean, I know you were doing it, but it's not until you go back and see it. And then I think people forgot that were second, Heisman trophy candidate. I think people forgot that too. You know, because and this is something that the alumni, we debate this all the time,
hmm
you know, and I said, no, 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 no. Woodrow Dantzler is the one that started all of this. You all forgot about Wood, and then it's like, oh, that is right. But I think the biggest difference was, we didn't get to that national championship, type, level. And so it's almost like, in some ways, you were before your time. But why don't you share with us what it was like for you going through it as it was happening?
That is a very interesting question. Well, for me, honestly, it was fun because I like to play the role of Peter Pan, the whole I never grew up. When I was out in the field, I literally was out there having fun. I enjoyed life and I
Mm.
enjoyed it to the fullest. That's one of the things that my dad always instilled in me. If you're gonna do something, do it. Essentially meaning if you're gonna put effort into anything, make sure you give it all you got. So on the field, I was giving it all I got. In the classroom, I was giving it all I got. Meeting people, I was giving it all I got. And I was just experiencing life, coming out of Orangeburg, South Carolina, now to Clemson. It was just, one, a cultural change, but two, it's just an opportunity just to meet people. And I'm a people person. I love folks.
Right. And I think you can speak to this because I tell people what you see from Dabo Sweeney, uh, it didn't start with Dabo. We were always very faith based. I know Coach Davis, certainly the late Barbara Kennedy Dixon.
Mhm.
We actually attended her church. We attended church on the road, and Coach Davis' position was, "Hey, go out here, give all the glory to God, and all that other stuff will fall into place." you know, but by our team not being so much as a national focus, and we had some great wins, some great upsets along the journey, but that family atmosphere, what people are seeing with the football program, that's Clemson. And I think it's a perfect environment for particularly young African American men that really do need that sense of family. Is that something that you can agree with?
Yeah, you hit that right on the head, and that's what most people don't get. They don't understand. They don't recognize. They don't get to see because the championships are great. You know, having a good game was great. Playing on the field with your friends was great. All that, not taking anything away from it. But the thing that you remember when you leave that school is, you know, something as simple as sitting down on the bench talking with your friends, or in the room, you know, joking and laughing, or walking from from one class to another. Just that camaraderie that we had. I mean,
Mhm.
those are the things you remember. I can go back now, just think through conversations we had, jokes we would tell to one another, you know, just those different things. And, you know, that's the stuff that we remember. And we do, I mean,
Right.
don't get me wrong, we remember the stuff on the field too, but it almost comes second place to those relationships that you build, those times, those memories, those moments you had with your friends, with your teammates, and even with the new people that you meet. You know, those are the things that are those lasting experiences that you take with you forever.
Absolutely, absolutely. What I wanted you to do is, I know that you are deeply into mentoring. So why don't you share with the viewers, you know, what it is that you're doing now and why you're doing it?
Well, I am a firm believer that, you know, this is my kind of my motto. Each generation is supposed to set the next generation up to go further. So
Okay.
you look at over time, and a lot of times what's happened is, you know, they call it the generational gap. I call it
Right.
a communication gap. You know, that communication has been lost over time. And you know what? And it's not the upcoming generation's fault. It's the older generation's fault because we're the ones that's supposed to reach back. We're supposed to talk. We're supposed to open up that lines of communication, bridge the gap, you know, be transgenerational to show them the way and not have them forge their own way. I mean, of course, they're going to forge their own way because they're going to take what we have, what we've experienced, and they're going to be better with it. But
Right.
let's not. We don't want them to start off like sometimes how we started, you know, with
Right.
nothing or less than nothing. You know, we want to give them that leg
Right.
up. So what I do is, I mean, I love seeing people reach their maximum potential. So whether it's through my speaking when I go out and speak to people, or is it through mentoring? You know, I got a mentor program that I just started where I mentor middle school kids. And my whole goal is through things called DR square: discipline, respect, and responsibility. I'm teaching these kids first discipline because once they get discipline for themselves, they're ready to grasp hold of respect. And once they grab respect for themselves and others, next thing you know, now they're ready to take on responsibility. And once they grab responsibility, they're ready to take on the world because now they're ready to go. So those three core characteristics is what I preach in my mentor program. And I'm in the school right now, one of the local middle schools, and I'm looking to branch that out. So oh man, there's just so much I got happening because not even that talking about conversations. I just finally launched this thing I call Shop Talk. And you all know in the barbershop is where a lot of stuff happens. In the salons is where a lot of stuff happens. Those conversations, those
Right.
open and honest conversations where we learn, we teach one another. So my first one is going to be held next weekend, and it's called The Journey to Manhood, The Pursuit of Manhood. I'm sorry. And we're just gonna have that open, honest conversation about that. And I'm looking to do that in different barbershops across the city. And yeah, that's just me. I'm all about being in the community, and I'm all about building people up. So those are just a couple of ways that I do it.
Yeah, I know. Also at Clemson, it was pretty much understood that you're gonna serve the community,
Yeah.
and I was involved with fellow Christian athlete, and every year I was the Easter Bunny, and I would go to the elementary schools.
That's awesome.
That suit, man,
I
in that time of year,
yeah.
it was rough, but it was fun, and I know it was also my first experience because you just take for granted sometimes when you're in the moment.
Hmm.
And I remember going to Anderson Mall,
Yeah.
and this just mauling of little girls came running up, and they wanted my autograph. And to me, I was just nobody,
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, oh, you're my favorite player. I like watching, I'm working on my 3-pointer, this type of thing. And that's also when you look back and you say, wow, from
Mm-hmm.
the tiniest, little person, people are looking and watching and paying attention. And then it's such a small community, the whole area. I mean, Clemson, South Carolina, the school, the school is Clemson.
Yes.
From that standpoint. Let me ask you this: because for me, I what we experienced our national championship success. Um, I used to always say, "Dang, man, if Dantzler, if he had man, if he had this guy and that guy, it's almost like we could never get all those little pieces there together at one time."
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but being a alumni, what was it like for you? I ask everybody this question. 2016, when Winfro caught that pass, where were you at, and what was your reaction? Because I can tell you what I was doing.
I was sitting on the couch with my wife, and interesting enough, she actually got mad at me. Because right before that, Jalen made a scramble and he scored a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
And when he scored, I started laughing. And anyone knows my wife, she is a diehard. I mean, she is true and through when it comes to Clemson sports, Clemson universe. So when I started laughing, she looks at me with this look like, "What are you laughing for?" And I just kind of, with the smirk on my face, said they left him too much time talking about Deshaun, because it's like just over 2 minutes left on the clock. I said they left him too much time because he was on fire. The whole offense was on fire. And then on the whole, drove down the field, a couple of big plays, and then everyone knew. I mean, as soon as they saw it, I actually kind of called the play because they come up, you see him press man. I'm like, why would you press on the goal line? But that's what they did, and that was their MO, and they called the right play, and Renfro scored. And for me, it was just, I was pretty much like Renfro. Like when he got up, he just flipped the ball. I mean, just like, I expected it. He expected it. They expected it. It was one of those things of, oh, wow.
Well,
Proud Papa moment. That's what it was for me. It's proud Papa moment.
For me, see, I went through suffering. Okay. Like we were not winning even to the degree when you came through.
Right.
Like I watched us get beat 57-0 by Florida State.
Mm.
We had some tough craziness. And Richard Moncrief, Patrick Sapp. I think my first year was Richard Moncrief's last year, and then Patrick Sapp came in. And nothing against those guys or anything like that, but I knew that in order for us to start getting successful, we were going to have just a different type of quarterback. As a woman, I didn't know dual threat. That wasn't what I was thinking. I just knew different. Mm-hmm. But I was actually, we had a Clemson gathering with some alumni. Katie Dunn.
Yeah.
Okay. I literally had his arm. I was buried like this. I said, I can't watch. And he just started shaking. Yeah. And then that's when I was able to look. I mean, because we really just tore up the whole place. I mean, we really did. Yeah. And then we did a dual alumni with University of Alabama in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not exaggerating. There was like 5 people that stayed after halftime. Like they just bolted. It's like, oh, this is over with. We're out of here at halftime. And I'm saying that's what I said about the Clemson Tigers. You're not ever going to see that one. Like we're just going to, we might be very mad. We might be very upset, but we're going to be there.
Right.
And because it's truly the Clemson family. And I remember my mother's first experience. I said, you got to experience this running down the hill. Because when I went on my visit, I thought this was some trash. I really did. Just exciting, 25 seconds college football. Yeah, I'm like, what could it possibly be, right? No, it's something serious. And
go
and
off, those balloons go up and they come down, man.
the cannons go off. My mother started crying.
Wow.
She did. She was just she just literally, the tears started flowing, and she was like, "This is exciting." Oh my!
Mm,
And it's almost like you can feel the stadium. I tell people, experience it for yourself. It
mm.
is real. I didn't think that it was. Now, let me ask you this: what do you think we are? Because I just feel like we gave some other schools a chance. Like we just took a year off. Something like that. Um, I've been hearing all of this hoopla from, I call them Clemson haters, that they feel like the transfer portal is killing us, and which I haven't seen that. Um, I don't like it, and I'm gonna tell you why I don't like it. I think it has real potential to interfere with seniors coming out of high school, um, and there's not a whole hell of a lot that you can accomplish going to a new school, a new system with a year eligibility, outside of the fact you just want to be out there.
Mhm.
Because I that was my thinking, and I wish our quarterback had stayed. His name is escaping me. Um,
Which one's been a couple of them? Tyshawn, you talking about recently or previous?
Fairly recently, when
Tyshawn,
Trevor Lawrence came in,
you talking
um,
about Kelly Bryant?
Kelly Bryant. Um, I I just wish he had stayed. I think it may have given him a better shot of the NFL career that he hoped for, because he had put in some serious work,
Hmm.
um, and accept the challenge. And another reason why I don't like the transfer thing is, I mean, sometimes it's about the challenge. Like, you have a chance every day in practice. I mean, I understand there may be some politics that may interfere along the way, but sometimes you just can't deny. If this guy is getting his butt whooped in practice, you got to put him out there. But those are my feelings. I just think that, and I understand, well, the coaches, they get to leave, so it's like, well, we should be able to leave. But when I'm looking at the data, the actual success that's not yielding from it, I think these guys might want to do a double take, and sometimes just be realistic with yourself. Maybe that upper level D1 is, it's just not for you.
Hmm.
What is your position on that, Woodrow?
I think it's terrible for the kids because everyone talks about the transfer portal. And yeah, I mean, give the kid options, but on one hand, they tell you you'll see the big names who may transfer and they get into a school. You don't see the not millions, but the hundreds of other kids still in the transfer portal with no school to go to, no offers. Now they're just sitting out there. What are they going to do? Where are they going to go? Like you mentioned, they may have to go down a division, to get into college. And some of them just stuck out there because no one has offered them a scholarship. That's one thing. And then two, also what you just mentioned, it's this whole thing of, okay, I'm not playing. I should be playing. I'm gonna go somewhere else where I feel I can play. There's no compete. There's no drive. There's no want to. Now, some of them, and I'll give it to them. Some of them will be placed in situations where it's actually it's good for them and for their family because of the situation at that particular school that they need to leave. You
Right.
know, but those are the rarities when it's actually something where the kid needs to leave. Maybe it's a family issue. Maybe it's they didn't jive with the school. Maybe they told them one thing and when they got there it was something different, and it felt like they would. So that's one case, but that's a rarity. Most time it's just a lot of these kids, they just get there and they want to go. But it breaks my heart when those kids leave and now they have no offers and they got nowhere to go. So what? I'm back at the house. I'm going. So what did you really accomplish? So those are the things that really gets me. The fact that they're just sitting out in the transfer portal, and then two, they just don't have that drive to compete no more. Because I mean,
Right.
same thing. Because I remember coming in, when Coach Bowden came in, they recruited Willie Simmons. They brought him in, and he was all but the starter. I saw
Right.
it on the wall. I heard it, and they talking about. But what I think was, okay, well, this is his job. He's going to have to take it from me. And that right there, to this day, me and Will is still really close. We talk. So
Mhm.
that bond, that competitive nature of them, both of us,
Right.
make both of us better. So these kids, they don't want that no more. And again, that goes back to what I was talking about earlier. Generations. We're not talking to our kids about this. We're encouraging them to think about self and to do things the easy way or however,
Yeah.
whatever. But that's the stuff we need to really dig into our kids. No, life's not easy. It's gonna be hard, gonna be challenges. But
Right.
you just like that car when it comes off the assembly line. Everything is in that car for that car to do what it needs to do. And the same with these kids. So when you came out, you had everything on the inside of you to be able to do what you need to do in this life. But sometimes you got to be squeezed to see what's on the inside of you to come out. And instead of allowing those circumstances to bring the best out of you, you allow it to send you into a place where you don't need to be. So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
that's my big thing with the transfer portal.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. It becomes most schools, because I remember Coach Davis telling me, I have a 100% graduation rate, and you're not going to adversely affect that.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's one thing if you're caught out there in that transfer poodle, and you at least at best have your undergrad, which
Mhm.
which we know how Clemson is structured with the summer school. They push you to certainly graduate.
Right.
Um, I was in school the first year. I don't know if you noticed, but Clemson was the first school in the country to have the 24-hour academic learning center. And,
Mm.
and and so our class was the first year of that, Vickery. And I think South Carolina Gamecocks, a couple of years later, everyone kind of modeled after Clemson. And but that meant a lot, to me, because it wasn't about, hey, we know you can play basketball, but
Right.
this is going to end sooner, than later,
Mhm.
and you need to be prepared. And so uh, I like when Dabo shut it all down, because he said, "Hey, let's talk about graduation. Let's talk about the type of men we're developing." He's like, "You
Mhm.
all don't want to talk about that. You know how Dabo get."
Yeah.
you know. But I think I almost think that it. I don't know what the answer is, but when you're left out there, like you said, sitting there and you don't have a degree, that's a
Mhm.
tough position. But and that's what happens, I think, when they don't have the right minds around the table when they're coming up with stuff like this.
And that's the thing, and I believe the answer is just being able to have those conversations. One thing my dad used to do to me all the time, I ask him a question, and instead of answering the question, he would actually ask me another question. And what he was doing there was teaching me how to think through things. So if we
Critical thinking, critical thinking.
yes, if we can be
Mhm.
have these conversations with these kids, and Coach Jeff Davis, with Paul Vision and what he does over there with those kids, I mean, he has some challenging conversations with them. Some of them, they'll embrace those conversations. Some of them won't come back into his office because they know they're going to get challenged and they'll have to think. But that's the thing. It's okay to have these options, but having these options, be able to think critically through the whole entire gamut to be like, okay, if I take this, a possibility I might not get a scholarship. So if I can think through this and with all the information I have, make a decision off of that, hey, I'm cool. But too many kids are making decisions off the wrong information. And that's the real problem, because no one's really having that conversation with them or pushing them to truly think through the decision that they're making. Or if they are pushing them to make a decision, there's some there's some ill will motives towards why they're pushing that kid to make a different decision. So having that kid, the kids are grown. They're absolutely brilliant, honestly. I remember
Right.
sitting the in the cafeteria they had at Clemson, and I'm listening to. They were having an argument. They were discussing something. I forgot exactly what it was, but from the outside looking in, you would think these were some ghetto Negroes on the block. But if
Hmm.
you sat there and listened to them articulate their conversation and their stance, you're like, oh, that's a great point. Yeah, they were
Right.
loud. They were talking, how they talk.
Passionate.
Right. But it was
Mhm.
not. It was nothing malice. And it was just like, wow. And it had me think about some stuff. Matter of fact, I think one kid says, I think it was who was this? It was back when this one, who was it? God, I can't think of his name. But he said something. I actually pulled my phone up and looked it up because I was like, man, I didn't even know that. But I mean, these kids are brilliant. We just gotta continue to, just like they push them on that field, we need to push them in the mental as well. And that's what we don't do that. And again, that's our fault. You know, I take that mantle on it. If a kid's missed something that's come across my path, he's my responsibility. And that's the deal there.
Well, do I have this right? Did you take martial arts or something like that?
Yeah, that was my first introduction into sports. When I was younger,
Really?
I always been a bundle of energy. So to kind of help guide me with that, my dad got me in martial arts because I would always watch the movies, the martial arts movies. Bruce Lee was my guy. So he got me into martial arts. And what that did, that taught me, you know, discipline. That was my first dose of discipline. Taught me body control, how to push through in these different types of things. So that was my first introduction into sports, and it really gave me a leg up when it came to pushing myself.
So what you're saying is it taught you how to, on one leg, take a couple of hops, keep your balance, and streak down the sideline for a touch.
Mhm.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
the
You think
Dallas
about
game.
exactly. It's like dynamite. Dynamite's explosive. But you know, if someone's skilled and they take that same dynamite that can blow up and kill a whole bunch of people, they can strategically place it in a building, make that building implode on itself, and it never goes outside of that range of the building, and no one gets hurt. You know, it's just all
Right.
about having that. You know, me because I was dynamite. Couldn't keep still. I'm the one turning flips in the classroom, doing my work, and then when I finish my work, I'm running around the classroom, bothering other people because I couldn't control my energy, and it
Hmm.
taught me how to control the dynamite that was on the inside of me.
Well, that was one of the things that, with just myself as an athlete watching you play, probably like the first 4 or 5 games, I was like, damn, he has really good balance. You know,
Mhm.
because I basketball, always, impressed with balance and footwork and stuff.
Right.
And then I think it was a particular game, and the commentator was saying, I think he gets that from martial arts. You know, so because I think they had interviewed you and you had
Yeah.
talked about. I said, well, it all makes sense now. And
Mhm.
then, and certainly when you're in the moment with everyone else, they're probably up here, and because of the martial arts, you're probably just
Right.
relax. We got this, you know.
Yeah. I tell this story all the time, and they would because when I'm on the field, um, because even to this day, I'll say, well, I've never seen the horse at Florida State. I've never seen the horse. He come down, throw it in the middle of the field. I've never seen that. But when I'm playing in the game, the crowd doesn't exist. I don't even hear the crowd. As loud as it can get in Death Valley, I don't hear the crowd. Now I hear my teammates and my coach, I can hear them clearly. I can see everything on the field clearly. But everything outside of what's happening on that field, to me, it really doesn't exist. And it's one of those focused things that I was blessed with. So I think I attribute that to martial arts, being able to zone in on my opponent and those types of things and making quick strikes to where they need to go and how they need to go. So yeah, man, it was a tremendous benefit to me.
Right, right. Like I said, it certainly translated there on the field. Just again, I always watch from a first as a athletic onlooker, then as a fan, because I just like to see talent, and I like to see people out there doing their thing. I don't like people that want to be athletes but
Mhm.
they're not competitive. Like the moment that they're faced with, hey, like I remember I had to really come out strong and defend Dabble Sweeney because when he started Trevor Lawrence and Bryant went to the bench, I heard these rumblings about Dabble being prejudiced. And I said, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's go back to Deshaun Watson because there was a white guy that was starting, and Watson was put in.
Right.
So if it's about race, then because and I think for an African American woman, it certainly kills me when people try to make everything be race, just
Right.
just everything. And I said, no, that's not what was going on. Or maybe you talking about our program, but you hadn't really been keeping up with it.
Hmm.
And the fact of the matter is, what I would have liked to have seen from Kelly Bryant was a true self-evaluation and say, you know what, that down the field passing, going through my progressions, I need to improve and
Hmm.
accept that challenge,
Yeah.
and stay in the drill because it's only going to make the team better, Trevor Lawrence better, and mostly in return, he would have gotten a whole lot better, I think.
Right.
Just stay in the drill, as they say. Accept that challenge and stay competitive. You know. And speaking of competitive, a lot of people thought that the Super Bowl was boring, but that's because they don't understand defense. Defensive battles, it's going to look like that.
Right.
I mean, it just is. And my heart broke because I wanted, my Clemson guys, and man, Higgins had a great game.
He did.
And he was sitting there on the bench and his eyes, he was just like, but I'd rather lose early than lose the Super Bowl, I think. It's one of those you want to get there, but man, you don't want to be the person that or the team that don't win it. It seemed like it's so heartbreaking. Or
Yeah,
that
all that work throughout the year, then you just feel like you come up short, and as a competitor, you go back through the entire year. You go back through summer workouts, mini camps, and August training, and you're like, okay, I could have done this better, or I should have worked on this a little bit more. And you start to really break down, and that could be tough on the psyche, but it also does one or two things. It can push you in a hole, or it can drive you for the next season. And I think that's what's going to happen. It's just going to drive them for the next season. Well, I know T definitely it's going to drive him for next season to come out and do even better. So,
well, I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you because you played the position. I'm just going to tell you my narrow little piece. As a woman, I've never played anything beyond flag football.
Mhm.
A lot of people's feelings were that DJ is he's a bust, he's trash, get him out of here, all of this stuff. Um, and he teased us those two games when Trevor wasn't playing, and I said, no, you don't understand sports. It's real easy to come in because he still wasn't the man. He did not have the pressure that Trevor Lawrence has when Trevor's in the game, and they're scheming for Trevor Lawrence. When you just throw a guy out there, the defense, they just kind of trying to figure out what is his strengths, what is his weaknesses. So he's just kind of doing his thing. I just think it's a difference when you are accounted for versus, hey, you out there and hey, they just got basically some high school film on him. But I think his mental. I think two things happened with him. Number one, this is the first time in his life he's ever been hit. Like just really took a pounding. He took a pounding in the Georgia game. And I just think it puts in perspective guys like yourself and Taj and Watson and Trevor. It puts in perspective the mental aspect of your game because that's the only thing he seems to be lacking to me. It's
Mhm.
He needs to slow everything down. There's no question that this guy can throw a football, and I just think he everything's power. I think he needs to work on some touch passes is what they're called. But as far as him being a bust and a waste, I'm not. I think he's poised to have a great season. He's gone through the adversity. He's heard the mess. He's been injured, banged up, and but more importantly, he wants to get better, and it starts there, I think.
Yeah, that's one of those. Most of that is, sometimes, and this is not all fans. It's always the ones the what is it? The minority, they're always making the most noise.
Right.
And those minority, they can almost be like a spoiled rich kid. They're so
Hmm.
used to having things the way. I mean, you think about the run that Clemson's been on. This is what my
Right.
expectation is. And Alabama. I heard people. Got one of my friends. He's an Alabama fan, and Alabama. They go through that. If they lose one game, oh, the season's over with. They lose two games, oh my God, it's over with. No, with DJ, it's so much deeper than people know, but they're looking out on the surface. He's a great kid. He
Hmm.
is top notch QB, and he will be.
Hmm.
Just like you said, just some different things that took place without getting into. I mean, some different things that took place, and he has to learn how to deal with it. And
Right.
as you can see, he began to progress later on in the season.
Hmm.
But, yeah, DJ's gonna be fine. He's gonna show them that he's still that same kid that came in the Notre Dame game and rock and shock the world. He's that same kid that those two games he played. Like, he's that same guy. And
Right.
just a couple of things he needs to work on, and he's going to do that because that's the kind of guy he is. Because he's
Right.
seen it, he's been through it, and everyone. Like I said, we go through seasons. Now, when those same fans that are doing all this talking, when they went through their rough patch and they weren't quite at their best, be it in their job or with their family or whatever struggles they've had, you know, they probably wouldn't have want no one saying you're terrible, you suck, you need to go back. They wouldn't want to hear any of that. They
Right.
want somebody to come alongside them, grab their hand, and pull them and take them where they need to be, or restore that confidence that they've had before. And that's all he needed. He just needed to, like I said, just try to. I don't want to get too deep into it, but it's just some things that took place that he just need to work through.
Yeah,
So
well, I battle back with these people. I said, hey, look, please understand, before he's anything, he's a teenager.
yes,
He's a teenager. So watch your mouth, because I've been the athlete, and I mean, you're just 17, 18 years old, and you're on national television, and all of this stuff is going on. And people forget that uh, athletes have to deal with the same things as everyone else. I mean, look at our lineman. His sister, has brain cancer. So
hmm
he tears his ACL, Breezy.
yeah,
Um, you
right,
know, yeah, he has to go to class, prepare for football, get over the injury, be there for his sister. And my senior year in college, lost my little brother to cancer,
mm,
like 2 days before final exams. You know, uh, you have to deal with all of that. But I'm also a senior, so I'm a little older. But man, if I had to battle through some of that stuff as a freshman, I mean, I don't know how well I would have fared with it.
yeah,
And I just think they forget that just these are teenagers, for crying out loud.
they
I
do.
mean,
And the craziest part about it is that as a grown adult, you allow your emotions to be shifted based on a kid. But
right,
even with that being said, these kids probably by the time they got to college, they've been through and seen more stuff than I've seen in my years on this life. And
right.
that's unfortunate. They've had to deal with so much more than we had. So I commend them. And that's why I say I like to come alongside them and do my part to help them. But yeah, it's just ridiculous,
Yeah,
the extra pressure these people put on these kids. But the best thing about it though is a lot of them step up to that pressure and they shine in the midst of it. So that just speaks to their character, that speaks to their heart, and that speaks to their drive, and also speaks to the leadership that they're around. Even coming from their home, their parents, their family
no.
circle, the coaches that they choose to go to school with. That it's just that resiliency that they show. It's almost breathtaking just to watch.
Well, only the Clemson family would really understand and keep up and pay attention. But people forget that that football team has had to go through some serious grieving,
Yeah.
burying a couple of teammates, like the guy here, he drowned. And when you're side by side, day in and day out with someone,
Mm-hmm.
and these type of things happen, but hey, you still got to go to class. You
Mm-hmm.
still got to prepare for the game. They're 18 years old, and then we have some rinky-dink fans who have only ever been fans,
Right.
saying all of this wild stuff, and that's still a tribute, I think, to the coaching staff,
Yeah.
to get those guys, through that, because it was guys that were playing and crying during the games and stuff, and it happens. We see it happen even at the NFL level or whatever. You still try to, press forward, and it's tough because we've been spoiled.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of level about it because I did not experience that when I was in school with the football team.
Mm-hmm.
The first half of the season was more like what I was used to. I never knew, like, I don't know what's going to happen. We just go support the team and let the chips fall where they may.
Right.
I just have a couple of more questions. I'm going to let you get on with the rest of your Sunday evening.
Mm-hmm.
The state of the NFL right now. What's your take on it?
I wish I could give you a good philosophical answer to that, but in my shocking manner in which I always deliver this, I'm not the biggest sports fan. So I'm not watching. I really don't know what's happening, what's going on. I mean, outside of some of the guys that came from Clemson that I know, that I keep track with, and I may watch a little bit of the game if I catch it on TV. Outside of that, I don't know. I don't know what's happening in NFL. I mean, I've never really watched NFL like that. I played it, but I don't watch it.
I think the thing that's really going on, I don't know that it's about sports anymore.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
nothing's about sports
you
anymore.
know.
These political agendas are seeping and moving into every gamut of our lives, and nothing is what it is. The purity of the sport, shoot, even the purity of going to school and getting an education.
Right.
Everything is motivated by agenda. But
Yeah.
again, that's the reason for those courageous conversations. So instead of blanketing or putting something on someone that I think they may be coming from, okay, you said this and this how it came across to me. What do you mean? Oh,
Mhm.
you really meant that though. Oh, okay. Well, now I know how to deal with you. Or no, I didn't mean it that way. This is what I meant. This is what I was. Oh, okay. I remember because I remember what was this? I just me being me. I was in high school, had a good friend, and I saw something on TV and they were talking about, any white person who has a cap and they put a fishhook on their hat, that's one of those secret signs that they're with the KKK. So I had a friend, I thought he had it. I went and asked him about it. He's like, no, I like to fish. This has
Right.
nothing to do with the KKK.
Yeah.
But if I'd have listened to what I just read and some of the other people that I heard, now all of a sudden this guy that I know who I call a friend, I start looking at him sideways because I'm thinking he's this racist person, but it was so far from he said, I like to fish. And it's just so he would say it's exactly how he said it. Man, it's a redneck thing. I like to fish. It's what we do. Just part of
Right.
it. No different than these knuckleheads around here walk around wearing your pants off their behind. They want to
Right.
say it's swag, it's culture, but it's to
It's
me.
trash.
Thank you. and that's that. So I mean,
Pure trash.
yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. And before you put before you put judgment on someone, get the evidence and find out for sure. Now, if someone showed you that's what it is, if you discover that's what it is, then that's what it is. But then also, even when you discover what it is, that's one thing I talk about my kids. Talk about with my kids. You can have respect for yourself. Even if I know this person is acting a fool or doing something crazy, because of the respect I have for me, I'm not going to allow you to bring me to that place. So
Right.
my name is Woodrow. if you call me Jimmy, I'm not going to answer. And let them sit there. And one of those things I actually do, I go in there and I'll sit down first time, and I know his name is KJ, and I'll call him William, and I look right at him, William, and he's looking at me confused. William, my name's not William. And then I go into the whole explanation of why I do that, because the name's not William, so why you answer to it. So if I call you the N-word, if I call you stupid, if I call you dumb, I don't gotta respond to that, because I know who I am. I have respect for me, so you're not gonna pull me out my lane because you ignorant. And
Right.
that's the stuff that we need to drill into our kids. Because right now, everybody's triggered by everything.
Mm-hmm. Just everything is just some big impulsive. Just everything is impulsivity
Mm-hmm.
and sensitivity.
Yeah.
And I just want people to make up their mind. I don't think that you can jump out there as a big dog, and then when you are greeted with another big dog, don't turn around now you want to be puppy chow. I don't believe in that. And I know, my first year at Clemson, and myself and Bill DeAndre, we used to bump heads. And, and I told him, I said, hey, I'm going to come to the office because I just think we need to talk. I don't think you understand me. And I told him, I said, look, let me tell you what's going on with me. 2 months before I got here, I watched one of my friends shoot and kill another one of my friends, shot him 6 times. I was right there. A stray bullet just as easily could have hit me. We were talking. We were eating honey buns. Our friend walk up, we speak, he pulls out a gun and he killed him right there in front of me. And you deal with a community that, well, if you're a witness and you tell the truth, well, that's supposed to be snitching, right?
Right.
That trash.
Yeah, that foolishness.
But you still have to deal with it. And I'm the person, then call me whatever you want. There is room in my life for the truth. And the truth of the matter is, we were sitting there talking, eating a honey bun. He walked up, spoke, and he spoke to me. He was like, "What's up, Raymond?" And I was like, "What's up, O?" And he just started shooting Bruce. That's what happened, and you're still going through seeing that and dealing with that. And that was the first introduction for me as far as this counseling piece, because
Right.
I went to Coach B. I said, Coach B, this is what's going on, and I need to deal with this. And so that's something she helped me deal with. And I said, so don't judge me if I'm isolated. I'm isolated because I have to be comfortable. I'm still processing, and then it's culture shock. I was brought to Clemson on a Black student recruitment weekend, and so it's my first day. I like what just threw me off because I just expected to see something different, but then I understood. When you have a first generation parent of college or some college, so you don't know about to go and check the demographics and all, and so all of it was a learning process.
Right.
I learned about credit. I wouldn't trade the experience, for nothing. And people have always asked me that, like, if you had to do all over again, because my game was, I made the most of all of, my time, my minutes. And there were people who felt like I should have been playing more. There was times that I felt like I should be playing more, but quitting, trying to go somewhere else, that didn't even,
Cross your mind.
yeah, it was like, hey, I'm going to always be ready, to play, and I think that I was, and I wasn't intending to, but I think I finished up fourth all time in 3-pointers. And that was just based on, hey, just being ready when your number's called at the
Right.
end of the day. It makes you a better person. a better friend, just better all the way around if you just accept, the challenge.
Right.
And so, and I appreciate you, coming on Sports-A-Delic, chiming in. I wish you nothing but success with the mentoring program and I know you'll be successful, whatever you decide to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd want you to tell the viewers again the name of your organization, and certainly in that area that you're in, how they can access it would be helpful, I think.
Yeah. So the name of my company is actually Dantzler 3 LLC. I speak under Wooden Pieces. That's my speaking name, because essentially when I speak, I'm just giving pieces of myself. I'm allowing you to I guess eavesdrop on a conversation that I'm having with myself, or I've had with myself. It's my experiences. Because one of the things my dad taught me, we had these random conversations. We were the rarity. We used to eat at the table. So
Right.
as a family, I remember one day he would just say, "Hey, you see that stove over there?" Going back up, he said, "I know you heard this before, right? Experience is the best teacher." I was like, "Yeah, I heard that." He said, "That's not true." He said, "Experience is a good teacher." He said, "Other people's experience is the best teacher." And that's when he went and said, "You see that stove over there? If I walk over there and touch the stove and burn my hand on the stove, you don't got to go over there and burn your hand on the stove to know that it's hot. Take my experience to know that it's hot and not to do it." So he said, other people's experiences are the best teachers. Our experience are good teachers, but other people's experiences are the best teachers. So when I'm speaking from my experience. I'm speaking from what I've learned. And that also drives me to be the best that I can possibly be, because I can only lead as far as I know, as far as my brain capacity can take me. So as
Mm-hmm.
long as I continue to grow, those who I lead will continue to grow as well. So I speak under Wooden Pieces for that very thing. Like I said, DR Square is my mentoring program. Look, I got it in one school. I'm looking to expand it into multiple schools here in the upstate area of South Carolina.
Okay.
Got my t-shirt line. I'm about to drop that in a little while too. Got a Christian t-shirt line that I've been working on for forever.
Okay.
Community work is just another part of me. I just love getting out in the community. So that's my sports talk, not sports talk, shop talk. So that's the first one to be launching on this weekend. Matter of fact, in Fountain Inn in South Carolina. So easiest way, I'm on social media. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. If you want, the easiest way to get to me though is just shoot me an email, info@dantzler3.com, and that's DANTZLERII.com. So that comes directly to us, and we get rocking and rolling.
And certainly here at Sports-A-Delic, if you contact me, I'm going to get you in contact with them. And certainly, I, professionally as a counselor, I work with Department of Juvenile Justice, where I retired from. I sit on the board of Positive American Youth Foundation, which we're really excited about because we were just awarded our Positive American Youth Day. We have our own day now, and we're going to be doing a gala. Certainly, I'm going to shoot you an invitation, to that. But if there's a opportunity to get your program in, I'm also assistant basketball coach at Mays High School. If I think that it's something that's needed, then that's something we're gonna make it happen. You'll be the one to figure out how you're gonna make it happen. But I'll be like Dan, like, hey, we need certainly we need life skill development and enhancement. We need that. All kids need it. It's not a race thing. All young people need it. And so certainly I'm gonna keep my eyes and ears peeled out, for those opportunities, because I think it's good stuff, because I've always kind of kept up with you on Instagram and LinkedIn and stuff anyway. So that'll be easy, for me to do. And like I said, thank you again.
Thank
And
you, man. Sharing your platform with me. This has been awesome. Absolutely phenomenal.
hey, I'm the one that's honored, because I was clinging to my one little record, but I mean, like I said, 50 plus, and like you said, I have 50 plus, and I was just having fun.
Just
That
having-
that shows you if you just compete
Mhm.
and do your homework, all of that other stuff will come.
Right.
And you're obviously living proof of that. And I'm predicting right here today on Sports-A-Delic, we're going to be back in the college playoffs this season coming up. That's my prediction.
Let's see it. The potential is definitely there. So
Yes.
I'm looking for that as well.
Right. But like I said, thank you again for tuning in to Sports-A-Delic. I'll make sure I get this video out, to you. If you find it useful, please use it, share it. And I'm sure I'll be calling you back as you progress with what you're doing with your program as well. Okay.
Sounds good to me.
All right. And thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
You do the same. Thank you.
Bye-bye.